Pisces, welcome to my channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about your November 2024 monthly horoscope. This is based on whole sign Western astrology, and it's based on Pisces rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Pisces moon and Pisces sun. The house structure will just be different. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. The month starts off with a new moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is your ninth house. That ninth house represents beliefs. It represents expansion. It represents foreign people, foreign places. It represents the higher education and the connection to the divine. I did a separate video on the new moon, so you might want to check out that video. So what I'm going to do is address the house and how this new moon, and because of the house it's in, what this really means. So Scorpio rules what the underbelly is. It rules the idea that, there's a deep psychological dynamic attached to it. And because of that, when we start to look at a new moon in Scorpio, you Pisces are going to get an opportunity to really look into your belief system and how you want to expand that. What you believe about your ability to make money, what you believe about your education, what you believe about foreign ideas, foreign concepts, what you believe about, how large structures are run, like religion and government in some ways. It's very powerful because the Scorpio energy rules power and control. So that's going to be pivotal for you at this time. You'll be planting the seeds for something new, an awareness in some way, and you'll have an opportunity to attract some of the things that you need as you're willing to release or to create wisdom from some beliefs that have not served you, or where your ego may have inadvertently said, I've got to do it this way, versus you're allowing a larger part of yourself to speak. I'm going to bring up the chart now for the rest of the video, where I'm going to show you some of the aspects. But again, I address the new moon more specifically in the other video. Okay, let's pull up the chart. Okay, let me just change this to 12 p.m. And we are going to go, and we are looking here on the first. We are seeing, let me go to the second, sorry. Okay. Oh, not far enough in the day. I'll go to the third. Mercury has entered Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your 10th house of career, public status, social status. It is where you're the most visible, and Mercury is entering an opportunity to cross over some of these very powerful points in the Sagittarius energy. When we are talking about Sagittarius, we're talking about an energy that really gives us an opportunity to expand beyond the human experience on a philosophical and ideological level. There is a concrete opportunity to create business through publishing, writing, branding. This for me is also the internet these days, and influencing the platforms you create. That's, the evolution of this house in technology. That would be the other publishing thing. When we start the month for you, we see not only is the moon in the 10th house, we see Mercury has entered it. Mercury is how you think, how you speak, your everyday activities. So you could really be wrestling with some old beliefs. And I say that because they could be beliefs that have been structural through, let's say, you were raised in the church. And Mercury is going to revisit those beliefs and see if they still work for you. There's also Venus is here at 20 degrees. She likes being in your 10th house. So while these two planets are traveling close for the next, couple of weeks, this is a fortuitous time for your career to take advantage of using your voice, to take advantage of using your broadening yourself in some way. And I think that that's through information, and it could be information that directly relates to potentially some sort of branding or influencing or content creation on the internet. That's a better way to put it, content creation on the internet. We see on the 2nd as well, this is really where we hit ground zero, okay? Pluto and Mars, and I've done a separate video on this as well, but Pluto and Mars are in their exact opposition. These guys are fighting, and Mars is not in power here. Mars is in the last degrees of Cancer. This is in fall, where Mars feels the least respected. His way of speaking is not appreciated. And Pluto being in the last degree of Capricorn, this opposition cannot happen again for 248 years. Because even with Mars going retrograde, Pluto will have moved into Aquarius and the aspect will not be the same. So here, those last degrees of fear, trepidation, anything where when we look at the Capricorn energy, we're looking at the 11th house of your hopes and your dreams. We're looking at, this is 11th house is Capricorn energy is your ability to actually make money. That's a money house as well, but it's a house that matures over time. So somewhere, while Mars is feeling sort of challenged because Pluto has the dominance in this opposition. Pluto knows something about Mars that is saying, are you holding your power? Are you being assertive in a way that allows for your intuition and now your emotional IQ to come together with your assertiveness, either as a peaceful warrior or as a warrior, but as a hero nonetheless, because Mars is making nice aspects to spiritual Neptune over here in your first house. And I think this is very powerful because Neptune can feel erosive. Neptune can feel as if it's taking away. But here with the trine, you're getting an opportunity to really find the divinity within your soul. And being emotive to others, people's feelings does not mean you have to acquiesce to them, because you have an opportunity to shift your thinking, to integrate new ideas. And that's what Pluto is demanding right now. The 29th degree is so significant because it's the degree of mastery. The planet has been through the house for quite some time, experiencing the energies through the degrees. And then now we get to the 29th degree, which reduces down to 11. 11 is the master number of thought. And that mastery is knowing that our thoughts are manifesting in the physical as quickly as we have razor focus on them. And Pluto is going to bring up the underbelly. It's going to bring up something a little bit dark. And it could be also happening on the world stage around us. So be mindful. And this influence has been felt from late October, and it will be felt all the way through until they're at least 5 degrees apart from each other. Okay. Now, on the 3rd, Mars will move into Leo. And I think that this is a really welcome energy because Mars is now, in a fire sign again. So whatever illuminations or disruptions, and we still feel a bit of disruption, but now Mars is feeling a little bit more powerful, a little bit more, okay, I've got this. And some of this may be for my Pisces rising is that what Pluto is bringing up is that you're more capable, you're more talented, you're more aware, you're more able in some way to facilitate your dreams. Your Cancer energy is that 5th house. That's an important house for creation, for your self-expression, for your enjoyment and your pleasure. And the things that you discovered through this tense aspect between Mars and Pluto, really illuminating, are you living your dreams? Are you aligning to the dreams that you want to live, to asserting your creativity, to being the master of your own destiny in some way? And now Mars has moved into this fire sign and more willing to take action. This is the 6th house. This house could very much have Pisces saying, I'm going to take my health by the horns. I'm going to take my creativity by the horns. With Neptune making and Saturn both in your first house, there could be a lot of stuff coming up for you, Pisces, about how you treat yourself. And if you have personal planets in the first house, any of Pisces rising, but if you're a Pisces sun, this is important. If you're a Pisces moon, this is an important thing to know, because these are the planets that would be affected by both Saturn and Neptune, slowing things down, burning out, or I should say, actually washing away the illusions. And now you're being tasked to step into a newer version of yourself. We see I'm going to jump, I'm not going to go through, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I do want to bring up on the 4th, before I jump a little bit too, on this day, we have Venus in an opposition to Jupiter. And Jupiter is in your 4th house of home, and Venus is traveling through your 9th house. This opposition, these two planets are pretty benevolent and pretty nice to each other, even in opposition. But here, what we see is that Venus is in Jupiter's natural home of Sagittarius. So it's like Jupiter is calling home and wishing he could be there because he's tired of the minutia of Gemini. And the minutia for you personally would be the minutia of your family story. Your family history, your family dynamic, and whatever duplicity within there might be. It does not necessarily have to be negative or life-shattering. Here, the planets are pretty benign with having the moon and Venus conjunct, but it could illuminate, am I nurturing myself? Am I missing something? Is Jupiter being so big that I've missed a valuable detail? And the valuable detail could be anything 4th house related, which is very much about self-care and self-healing. So Jupiter's getting to revisit that while it's in its retrograde. And I tend to think, seeing at this time, having the moon conjunct Venus, that it's probably about really taking care of yourself and making sure that you're replenishing yourself, you're nurturing yourself in the way of nourishing yourself, vitamins, minerals, blah, blah, blah. It's really powerful, that transit in your first house. It's really a step up, or a call to a step up of awareness. Now I'm going to talk about Saturn going direct. And this happens on the 15th of November. I should look at election day. Now, hold on. Let me back up, Pisces. Let me go to election day for you, just because, Okay. So on election day, real quickly, what we see is we still have that opposition between Mars and Pluto, which is very powerful, because that's, again, Pluto is in the house of government, in the house of, authority. And we see that Saturn is stationing. Saturn is going to be a real player for you over the next few weeks, as Saturn, and I'm glad I went back to the 5th, because this is going to be at least probably a full month of feeling Saturn just sitting at that 12 degrees. And for the most part, Saturn is every one of the personal planets will sort of move around Saturn in that moment, meaning we'll see Mars move further in, making it a different type of dynamic. Saturn here is going to lay something down for you in a way that's like, it's time to sustain things. It's time to be willing to do the hard work to take care of your physical apparatus. And I really think that's important because of Neptune in the last degrees of your first house, and because of the Jupiter's tendency in the 4th house would be to expand things in some way. And here it could expand, your childhood wounds or your childhood experience, or even maybe some of your childhood habits. Like, I've always drank milk every morning and I don't want to give up my milk. I'm used to it. And yet that milk might not be making you feel good. I'm using a mundane, random, example. So Saturn is going to just sit here. And the other thing that's interesting to note is that Saturn is often forgotten about the rewards. Saturn creates something that will stand the test of time. So your awareness in these moments, and maybe even your awareness of this bit of this challenge that's going on here in your in the Pluto Mars energy between your 11th and 5th house, because that 5th house is again about enjoyment and about self-expression and about romance, and romance always makes people feel fluffy. But my point here is it's very much about the self, and this is an opportunity to look at the self and say, am I creating habits both for my dreams, my physical apparatus, my financial dynamic to all support the things I want to live moving forward? Because it's always the be, do, have. And Saturn's going to ask you if your belief system here in Pisces, if your spiritual connection to the truth of who you are is strong. And if it's strong, it will support all the rest of it. But if not, it will start to make it feel dry and uncomfortable, to say the least. We also have at 1:28 p.m. on the 5th. I'm sorry, let me go to the 15th. I'm going to go to Saturn's turning direct on the 15th. So now we've seen for 10 days, Saturn's been sitting here. Now it's going to sit here for a while longer. Again, and look, Pluto is still at 29 degrees. So this is, and Mars is still in an opposition. I think a lot of this has to do with the outside world and the election in the United States. It's going to create some upheaval here, but that's the background noise to our personal lives right now. Let me go to this full moon. This full moon is in Taurus. Taurus rules money. It also rules food, and it rules possessions, the money you make for yourself. So full moon is an opposition where there is the moon is reflecting the light of the sun in its brightest phase. And I like this full moon a lot because having the moon in Taurus gives me a sense of the moon is exalted in Taurus. So it gives me a sense of strength within that body. And now having it conjunct this Uranus retrograde, 25 degrees retrograde in your 3rd house gives me an opportunity to really illuminate a potential way of thinking, Pisces, that has historically maybe held you back. Because I think the transformation is evidenced by this trine to Pluto, bringing up the underbelly for liberation, and the sextile to Neptune. These 3 outer planets are in a long conversation of trines and sextiles, really bringing up these subtle layers. Pluto is subtle on some level. Pluto, I honestly think that Pluto is an angel and a devil, but the devil was an angel. So there you go. And there's a sexiness about Pluto. There's a elixir, an allure about it. It's dangerous, and it's, and at the same time here in Capricorn, this is all about your fears, where you repress yourself, where you're holding yourself back. And this full moon is absolutely going to bring that up. So, and the 3rd house is also how you speak, and Taurus rules the voice. So this could be also an illumination to use your voice with intention, with, passion, with how you feel most Piscean, when you've got you could swim the best through the waters, because you're always going to be Piscean. So there's some genius that can come out here, as evidenced by Uranus, because Uranus rules that really great. So these thoughts are so fab. It's Elon Musk type thoughts, where you're out in space. Okay, I'll go into more in depth about that full moon in another video. Pluto is re-entering Aquarius on the 19th. This is so significant, because you've been feeling it. We've felt it already. I'm going to go to the 19th. And interestingly enough, that full moon was at 1:28 p.m. and it looks like Pluto moves into Aquarius at 1:28 p.m. Unknown caller. Okay. Now that just is some sort of weird coincidence to me, because if you look at 1:28 reduces down to an 11, and the full moon is at 1:28 p.m. Pacific time, and Pluto re-enters Aquarius, these forward-thinking way of being, this genius new thoughts at 1:28 p.m. And I believe that Pluto's 20-year transit through Aquarius is going to change the way humanity thinks about their co-creation. So I didn't even notice that before. So that just wows me, like, wow, I don't even know what to say about that. But let's look, because Pluto making this aspect again is making the favorable aspects to the outer planets. We just talked about that, Neptune and Uranus. But it's also making favorable aspect to the South Node. Somewhere there's going to be balance being offered. And the South Node is currently hovering over a point in the Shapley cluster, and it's the super galactic center. It represents being a point where you can recognize yourself as source energy, that you don't really need someone else to create or to manifest or to feel abundant or to feel quote unquote whole, that you are literally source energy. And the South Node transiting over this spot is calling forth for us to allow for whatever imbalances, wherever there's been a lack of harmony, wherever there's been something that didn't serve the deeper truth. Pluto will be, washed away. It'll be flushed out. You'll be tasked to be egoless, which would be really not to edge God out while something transpires. And this is going to continue on. Libra is your 8th house of transformation, of the deep psychological power and control that others have over us, really through money, through sex, through intimidation. Sometimes it's a challenging dynamic. So Pluto is going to enter your 12th house for the next till 2044. You'll be liberated in many ways and potentially revisiting things that are of a soul's nature. And this will be where Pluto is requiring you to unearth a sense of independence. And this is really the startling difference between your first house and your 12th house, because your 12th house is cold. Aquarius is cold. It's about me. It's the guy that sits in the little room like Einstein and invents all this crazy stuff, but maybe not is emotionally connected to others, where Pisces is super connected to everybody else, super, super loving and compassionate, and wants to be with other people and create and enjoy. Yes, Pisces has this dream time in the bedroom and quiet time in the ashrams and a sense of isolation. But that's the 12th house. So as Pluto transits this house, and of course makes aspects to the planets, for the next 20 years, it's going to unearth and give you an opportunity to rebirth a deeper part of yourself. And for me, it would be an integration of your 1st and 12th house, because the 12th house is where you leave this earth, and the 1st house is where you are rebirthed. And to me, if for some reason Pisces rising lived a more, Aquarian existence in a previous experience, then the Pisces energy is offering you connection, but without losing your individuality. And that's why Virgo would be the 7th house. Okay. Now we go to Mercury's retrograde. And I'm just going to touch on it quickly. I'm going to do a separate video on that. But Mercury's going to retrograde on the 25th, which is right after Thanksgiving in the United States. I'll leave it at 1:28 p.m. Mercury is not retrograded yet. Let's go to 5 p.m. to see what happens. Not yet. Let's go to 10 p.m. Should get some movement there. And now we see that there's Mercury retrograding. Mercury's going to retrograde in Sagittarius from 22 degrees to 6 degrees, which is very significant because it's going to be within orb of both the great attractor, well, just the great attractor. And that's another important point within the Shapley cluster. Mercury rules the mind. Sagittarius rules those broader thoughts, but it's the connection to the angelic realm. As Pluto enters Aquarius, humanity is going to be more aware that their thoughts create. That what they focus on starts to manifest in their physical experience. And Mercury's retrograde over the great attractor is giving Pisces an opportunity to truly sit in a review and, in some ways, a relaxed conversation with the divine, with source energy, which is also indicated by your south node over here, or the south node transiting this house, Libra, which is your 8th house of transformation. So there'll be a review from the 25th all the way through mid-December. This Mercury retrograde is going to become conjunct the great attractor 3 times. First, as it moved forward, and then as it moves back, retrogrades, and then as it moves direct once again. This is going to give you personally a real opportunity to really connect with your thoughts, connect with the idea of what you want, not what you think you can get, and then experiment with your connection to the divine. Now, this could also play out in many ways. It could play out with teammates and workmates in your workplace coming up, especially if you're doing content and revisiting ideas, maybe even revisiting teammates. Sagittarius is your 10th house of career. So somewhere you'll be revisiting and coming back. Maybe your voice gets back up on you get broader, or you start feeling some expansion within your content creation. There's that opportunity. Now, I know I'm talking about a Mercury retrograde, but I'm talking about ideas right now. So this isn't about the implementation and taking action. That would be Mars. Mercury is going to be about thinking it and starting to speak it. And then as you speak it, the dynamics start to come into play to experience it. So I think that's what's really important. I also think that as we walk into this Mercury retrograde, it's important to note that Saturn is in a loose square, but we're going to start a new dynamic between these two planets as Jupiter goes further and further into its retrograde. Saturn is stationing direct, not actually moving yet. So these two planets are going to be in a conversation. So this is your 1st house of Pisces and your 4th house of home. And something's going to come up again and give you an opportunity through a tense dynamic to make a decision about how you want to move forward with a sense of purpose that you cannot see with your eyes. Saturn, again, requiring, this deep endurance of faith in Pisces. This is not like Saturn in other signs. This is a deep endurance in creating a connection to your own personal creativity. Pisces rules photography and dream time and lyrics of music and poetry and dance and all these emotional things. It's beautiful. And oftentimes it just doesn't feel seen, or it feels absorbed by others. And then we have this dynamic of Gemini being sort of this duplistic energy, it's back and forth energy, but it's also the sign of the twins. So there's something else and somebody else involved, or something. I just feel like it's 2 elements, and the 2 elements to me might be, I can do it and I can't do it. I'm good, I'm not good. Yes, whatever that inner story is. And that's stoked by Pluto, by Saturn, by, these transits right now. But there's opportunity for liberation. Okay. And we will also end the month in a new moon in Sagittarius, which will be squaring Saturn. I'm going to just real quickly jump over there. I'll do a separate video. I like to do separate videos for the moons because they are really a separate energy in and of themselves, and an opportunity to create and to integrate. So here we see on the 30th that we have the moon at 9. Oh, this is very interesting because we started the new moon in Scorpio in November at 9 degrees, which I touched on more in the video that I did than I did in this video. And now we see the 9th degree again in this new moon. That to me is very significant. The 9 is the natural number of Sagittarius, which is the number of my belief system. It's also the completion of a cycle. And what a new moon is the opportunity to plant something in the darkness of night with the faith that it will thrive as you nurture it through your thoughts, through your actions, through your attitude, really. So this is going to be a very interesting new moon in and of itself, because it's also on the great attractor. The great attractor is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, and any planets within, let's say, 5 to 10 degrees are being influenced, and opportunities arise from the great attractor. So this could very well be planting the seeds as you review your thoughts and your speech and your everyday activities for opening something new in the months ahead, that is more aligned to a deeper truth of what Pisces really wants to experience in the physical world as an individual with a bit of spotlight on them. Okay, let me stop my share. I was going to make a short video and it's a half hour long, so apologize. I just tend to talk too much, but I hope you enjoyed this video, Pisces. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. I'm an intuitive period. I do both astrology readings and intuitive readings. You can reach me through my information below in the description, and I'll be back in December. And check out your November money and tarot reading. Those have been up for a little while. And join me live on on Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific, and that's where we do tarot and angel readings for each sign and get the advice for the week ahead's transits. Thanks so much. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. Bye-bye. See you soon.